Amma ba'd. Respected and beloved brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A tafseer obviously is an attempt by a qualified person to write out the meanings of the ayat that were revealed to the Prophet, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon him, over 14 centuries ago. That's as simple as we can put it. If we try to count the number of tafseers in the past 14 centuries, we are probably going to count about a little over 100 that I know of. There may be, you see, the problem with Islamic literature also sometimes, there are monographs, there are tafseers that have been written by hand. I believe this or not, we're right now in the age of printing and flash print and all of this other stuff, but we still have scholars who have written many centuries ago, and their works have not been published. So I'm talking about the published works that we know of. It's probably in the area of 100 or a little more tafseers in these 1400 years that have lapsed. And some of these tafseers, it turns out, are out of print. Not all of these tafseers are available. You may go to a well-known publisher in a well-known Islamic capital and ask for a certain tafsir. It says, well, we don't have it. Well, can you obtain it for us? No, we can't obtain it for you because we can't find it. And some of these tafsirs are not ancient tafsirs. I'll give you an example. There's a mufassir at the turn of this century, meaning almost 80 or 90 years ago, who wrote a tafsir. It's called Tafseer al-Hadith, and you ask about it and you can't find it. So we Muslims in the world should be ashamed of ourselves that we cannot even regenerate some of the works that some scholars, I mean, you may not agree with everything these scholars say, and we're not supposed to agree with everything that they say. It's enough that they struggled to explain to us their understanding, qualified as they are, to explain the meanings of these ayat. If we take a look at the Quran, the ayat of the Quran, for those who do these things, because in our times many of us are concerned with memorizing the Quran. No one is concerned with mentalizing the Quran. We send our young children to madrasas or to schools or to universities or wherever, and we want them to commit the Quran to their memory, which is fine. No one is trying to say you shouldn't do that. No. But very rarely do we find parents who are concerned with their children understanding the meanings of the Quran. And there are many ayat in the Quran that want us to understand it. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَفَكَّرُونَ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَفْقَهُونَ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, etc., etc., etc. All of these are trying to convince us that we should understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to us. Now, I don't want to get into our contemporary problems as Muslims, because we have some Muslims who give more credibility, well, I don't want to say give more credibility, but they emphasize the hadith more than they emphasize the Quran. And that's like putting the cart in front of the horse. But it's a fact of life, and we may have another day to speak to those types of people. But every Muslim in the world does not dispute the fact that the Quran is his or her number one and only reliable reference. There may be some arguments about some books of hadith, well, this is more reliable than the other, and back and forth. But there's no argument about the book of Allah. There's some book more reliable than the book of Allah, or less reliable than. We know it is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Every Muslim will concede that. And if that is the case, then why can't we have those who are qualified explain to us the meanings of this book? Obviously, one of the problems are the governments in which many qualified Muslims live, to whom they are subject. They're citizens of certain countries or certain governments or certain states, and they'll know that these establishments are going to come down on them if they dare to express the truth about the meanings of this guiding book. Another problem is we have been loaded with centuries of a ritualistic approach to the Quran. This may come as a surprise to some of you, and it should if we're not thinking about the Quran. Yeah, why not?